let's start sitting in a comfortable seated position, perhaps legs are crossed, maybe you have something you could put under your knees, or perhaps a blanket, or even just soles of the feet together. So we'll turn the palms up, roll the shoulders back, thumb and finger together to help with our concentration, and you can just relax the other 3 fingers. And just take a moment to gaze out at this beautiful lake that's behind me, and listen to any sounds you may hear. Perhaps there's some birds you can hear. Listen really carefully. Just chirping away. And I can hear just off to one side more the gentle breeze rustling the leaves. Maybe some crickets. So hopefully it's nice and quiet where you're sitting and you can really enjoy these sounds that are around me right now. Or maybe there's some sounds around you that aren't too distracting, so hopefully they're pleasant sounds. And just gazing at the water, just the different shades that we see in the water right now, from the sky, from the trees. The grass. And let's take a deep breath in through the nose and out through the mouth. So inhaling as deeply as you can without straining, really filling up the lungs, and then when you're ready, letting the air out through your mouth, really releasing down and drawing the navel perhaps into the spine at the very bottom of that breath, so that you really help to expel all that air you just took in. And a couple more times, just at your own pace, breathing a little deeper without straining, filling up. Maybe your belly expands and your ribs, and then your chest. You feel that breath moving to the chest without the shoulders coming up. And when you're ready, letting it all go, just in your own time. So I like to feel the chest release, ribs relax, and the belly really moving in at the bottom of that breath, so that I feel like I'm really pushing that last little bit of air out that we often hold on to. And then after a few of those deeper breaths in and out, again, just close the eyes now, sit for a moment, and in your mind perhaps picture what it was you saw when you were gazing out at the lake. Can you, with your eyes closed, see any shades? And with the eyes closed, listen to any sounds around you. Maybe it's even quietness. Peace. And open your eyes again. Let's lift the legs up. Move those legs a little bit. If you can remember which foot you had in front, if they were crossed, try crossing the other leg in front, and notice if it feels perhaps a little unusual. It feels like I'd really rather go the other way, but you're going to try and just leave those legs there. So again, I'm using my blocks under my knees to help with any tightness that I may be feeling. And again, I'm just going to take some nice deep breaths in and out, filling up through the nose and out through the mouth. If you like, palms up, thumb and finger together. And you're emptying out. Feel the belly coming in at the bottom of that exhalation. Really filling up again, feeling really strong, energized, hopeful, and excited and happy. I'm going to take one more deep breath in and out. See if you can as well. Letting go. Relax your breath. Just close your eyes again for a moment. Again, maybe you can, with your eyes closed, see some shades. If you really focus on it, you may not normally think about what it is you can see with the eyes closed. And, you know, it's shades you're seeing, but perhaps you can make out perhaps the lake that you were looking at, if you were gazing at the lake that's behind me. adjusting to the light. And let's just bring those knees up again. So legs out. I'm going to move these out of the way. And let's come to the knees. Take the knees a little wider so that they're moving out towards the edge of the mat. If you're a little tight today and you need something under the heels so that you're more easily able to sit back, by all means, walk your hands and arms out and take a nice deep stretch. Forehead down towards the earth and reach forwards and look forwards as you inhale. Exhale, lowering down towards the earth. So as you do that, perhaps 3 more times, where do you feel that breath expanding? So maybe it's your belly, your ribs, maybe it's your legs, arms and shoulders, but you want to feel that softening as you release and exhale. So go ahead, just stretch, breathe, whatever feels right for you. We'll all be a little different. Keep growing into it with the breath in and out. So it's different directions of movement with the inhalation and the exhalation. Should feel good though, no strain. Little movement side to side. Coming back up, pop those knees parallel with the hips. Come up and let's see if we can, or you can, with me, tuck your toes and just move your feet up and down. Feel the toes stretching. And lean back a little, so I'm slightly tilting forwards with the pelvis here, the thighs. As I lean back, I'm not arching my back, I'm lengthening my tailbone, and I feel that stretch coming up through the front of my thighs. And I'm going to reach my arms forwards and just gently pulse back and forth. Now, if your toes are killing you, just flatten them out, but see if you can keep them here to stretch them, and try not to let your ankles plop to the sides. And then lift your arms above your head and let's take those toes down now. Stretching up, gazing between your hands, take the arms down to the sides with an exhalation, circle them in front of your shoulders, just about shoulder height. And if you need to, tuck those toes and gently with your belly drawn in, your tailbone down, lean back a little. And maybe just a gentle pulse. I'm feeling a stretch coming up through the front of my thighs from my knees. And inhale, release the toes, arms up above the head, gaze between your hands, stretch, stretch, and when you're ready, exhale, float the arms down to the sides. One more time. So if you can, let's tuck those toes. Let's reach the arms forwards about shoulder width, lightly. Take the tailbone down with the buttocks lightly squeezed, not a tight squeeze that strains the back in any way. Pulse gently back so you feel that stretch coming up through the knees and the thighs. And one more. And then inhale, lift and lengthen. And let's stay here this time. You can flatten the feet and just stretch side to side. So I'm going to turn forward. So here, I'm just slightly leaning as I extend up like I'm climbing a rope. Now, if your knees are really hurting and you have a blanket, by all means pop that blanket under the knees. Both arms reaching up, exhaling, the arms floating down. And let's interlace the fingers, if possible, behind. So remember, toes could be flat or curled. And if you cannot reach, take hold of your elbows, roll your shoulders back. If you're a little more advanced with this, hands reaching down, shoulders back, lift away maybe. And just feel that good stretch across your chest, shoulders. Breathe. Release your hands or your elbows, maybe toes flat if they were curled. And lift up. Inhale 3 times. Inhale. Exhale, gaze down. Twice more. Inhaling up, exhale down. One more. Inhale, stretch your fingers, stretch your thumb away from your index finger, down. And let's circle now the hands and the wrists forwards and reverse. Shake them out, wiggle the fingers, and come to all fours lengthways on your mat. So we're going to take the hands under the shoulders. My fingers are a little out in front of my shoulders. My wrist is about, line the shoulder, tuck the toes. Really just find where you can stretch the wrists here. So as I move back and forth, my wrists get a little stretch, maybe a little circle around as well, and then the hips and the back start to come into this a little more, and going the opposite direction. So just noticing how your back feels today. Ooh, that knees feels good. And then coming back and round your back, tuck your chin, your tailbone. I'm going to flatten my toes and look forwards, reaching the heart forwards. Don't lift your head too high. A couple more times, cat-cow stretch, looking down, breathing out, coming forwards again, looking out. And one more. Let all the air go. Tuck your tailbone, your head, your belly's lifting to your spine. Reach your heart forwards. And then to neutral position. And you're going to come to downward facing dog. So you do want your toes curled. Better to not have your socks on at this point if you have them on. And you can maybe move the hands a little further forwards. And you're going to lift your hips up and your chest towards your thighs. And you may have to readjust toes and see if you could let your heels come towards the earth. Now I'm softening my knees here, but I'm trying to lift my hips. Now you may not be feeling like it's very comfortable, but some of you may if you're more flexible. I have some ant friends. And then, like you might do after a run, just pedal out and feel those calf muscles stretching. And look at your hands. Are your fingers and thumbs stretched nice and wide? And just pedal out, heel toe, and then lift high up onto your toes. And you may have come forwards a little. So take the chest back again, soften your knees, lift your hips a little higher, look between your feet. Then look up a little higher between your calf muscles or knees maybe. Could you tuck your chin and look between your thighs or your belly? And work your way back down. If your heels were still up, lower the heels and move your chest back again. And very gently and carefully place those knees back to the floor. And see if you can sit back into maybe a child's pose or wide-kneed child's pose. Blocks if needed, and just relax. Cross your arms, head down, and really just observe, where did you feel that stretch? Did you really feel the calf muscle stretch? Was it the thighs? Was it the back? Did it feel great because maybe you were really flexible today, or did you feel like, oh, today's one of those really tight days? Or maybe you don't stretch a lot and you're like, oh, this is feeling awful, but it's going to get better if you keep practicing. So practice. So head down. Nice deep breath in through the nose, if you like out through the mouth or the back of the throat. Wiggle a little, side to side. Another deep breath in. Feel your back and belly filling. Feel the ribs expanding. Let it go. All right, now let's come back to all fours. I'm going to remove my block. And take your knees back a little. Think about doing a push-up here, or getting into that push-up-like position, plank pose. Tuck your toes. Hips come forwards. If you've never done this before, you know you just have a hard time getting those knees off the ground. This might be all you need to do. As long as you're drawing that navel in and not sagging in the back, keep it nice and lengthened in the front and the back. And those of you who can, toes tucked, pop up those knees, shoulders again just about over the wrists. And if you're able to, you could rock a little back and forwards. Look forwards. Yep, maybe your wrists feel it a little here. Remember, you could always put your knees down or your toes. Yep. Just hold still now, wherever you are. Look forwards. Take a good deep breath in through the nose, out through the mouth. Then put your knees gently to the floor and keep those toes tucked because we're going back to down dog. So back with your hips, back maybe all the way to your heels, some of you, and lift up, or some of you may have had to come from here and back, heels lowering, maybe pedaling out again, heel toe, All right, I'm going to step my right foot slightly into my center line, and my right knee is bent, and my right leg is straight, my left knee is bent, and I'm going to pick it off the floor, and then I'm going to stretch it back as far as I can, and I'm going to push the floor away from me. Now I'm flexible, so yes, my leg goes high. I could go to here. Some of you may feel like this is enough. So let's all bring the leg, if you're able to about hip height. So see, it's level with my hip. It's not rolled out, just hip height. Flex your foot. Move back with your chest as you press that floor away. Your arms will begin to feel this. And look to your right foot, or your left if you had picked up the other leg. And bend that leg and place it back. And then pedal out. Heel toe, heel toe. And let's go to the other side. So I am dropping my weight into my left heel. And I have to move back with my chest a little. Bend the right knee, so my heel's off the floor. I'm just hovering this foot. I'm going to pick it up, stretch it back. See, where does this leg go? Right, so yes, maybe it goes high like mine. You might lift up and down on your left foot a little. And then bring it back to about hip height. So if you look through and flex your foot, you want to see that your hips are fairly level. Come on, move that chest back again. Readjust hands if you're sliding. Spread fingers, just stretch that leg like you're trying to press the floor away from you. Chest back. You can always wiggle this other foot that's on the ground back a little if you're too narrow, like I just did. Breathe. And then bend that knee and bring the foot down. See if you can pedal out just to sort of feel like, oh gosh, I've got both feet on the floor. And yes, my wrists are beginning to feel this, so I'm now going to gently place the knees down. Either sit back to your heels if you can. Remember those blocks or pillows, you can always go here. Or just sit up off your knees and then just off your heels and just shake out. Wiggle the fingers. Whew. Because even my wrists, even though I do it a lot, they do feel, they feel something, especially here when I do that, or if I haven't done it for a while. So that's normal. But just always be mindful if you know you do have wrist injuries or arm or leg, or any sort of injury. So now we will come back to all fours. And we will come back to downward facing dog. So just about hands under shoulders, hips over knees, toes tucked, however you think you can get there. Those of you a little more advanced, maybe press back and lift that way. If you're newer to this, from here with the shoulders over wrists, lift those knees, then move back. Okay? Find your down dog. Take a moment, look at your hands, nice and wide with the fingers and thumbs, pedal out. Oh, just feel that stretch through the legs. Don't be afraid to move around a little in this. And then we go a little wider with the feet back, because we are going to come forwards into our plank push-up pose. So from your downward dog that feels right to you, now shift your shoulders forwards towards the wrists. Again, I'm going to wiggle those toes back a little more. Some of you may need to put them safe, or not. Hold back. And let's see if we can lift one foot off the floor. And hold. For 3. Look forwards 2 without sticking your head up too high. 1. From here, extend that leg up. So we're going back to a 3-legged down dog now. Now that leg may go up a little higher for some of you. Lift high or not, wherever it goes is great. If you're able to, look under your arm of the leg that's lifted and open your hip. Yes, stretch. Press that floor away. Come back with hips square. This leg that I just bent is coming forwards, and I'm hovering it under my belly. I'm going to push my hips up and try to bring my head to my knee. So that means I have to press the floor away, head and knee coming in, and I'm going to extend this leg back again as high as I can, and my chest back towards my thighs. And then I'm going to lower back to down dog on 2 feet. Pedal out. Feel that relief when you get to both feet, or if you need, put your knees down to the floor. Hold the downward dog if you can. And then back to your knees. Alright, so maybe you come all fours, toes tucked. Find your way back to downward dog as best you can. Readjust hands. I like to take my little pinky fingers out to the outer edge of my mat and spread those thumbs away from the index finger. Pedal out. Hello, ant. That way. The joys of doing yoga outside. And then this time let's lift high to the toes. Chest back. Just pause here if you need. Pause your video, I mean. And if you want to see what I'm doing, I've come up to my toes, chest went back, knees soft, bottom high, and lower the heel without trying to get to this. You don't want to be here right now, but trying to be up. That's why it's important to bend your knees if you're really stiff through here, because your back won't be as straight if you're very tight in those hamstrings, most likely. And then I'm going to step now my left foot to my center line a little bit. And, oh, we did plank, didn't we? We did plank. So let's come forward to plank, wiggle back a little, hold that plank. So I lifted up my right foot before, so now I'm going to lift up my left foot. Press those hands into the floor. Draw your belly in so you're not sagging, or your knees down to the floor. And you could still do this, right? Or here, pick that leg up, gaze forwards, take a deep breath in, exhale out. Now this leg is going up into the air as I press back to a three-legged downward dog. So mine's going quite high. Don't worry if it doesn't go that high. I'm going to stretch, stretch, stretch up. I'm pointing my toes. I'm lowering my right heel down. Peek under my arm. Hello. Maybe bend that knee, open the hip, extend. What do you feel like doing here? You may have to come down for a moment and go back up. And then chest back as that leg goes up. Now, this leg that I have up in the air, you can see I'm bending it, so this is the leg, because of course the other one's on the floor, is going to come forwards under my belly and chest as I come to a plank, three-legged plank. And my knee and nose are going to come in towards one another as best I can. And I'm going to push into my hands, I push my hips up, so I'm higher on my back toes. Try and think about touching your knee and nose to one another, maybe. And then point my toes on this foot. And stretch back up to that three-legged dog as far as you can go. Readjust hands if you're slipping. Lower the heel to the floor with those toes that are down on the ground. Just stretch. Look back. Come on, you can do it. And then this leg is going to meet the foot on the floor again. Feel that moment where you replace your feet and you maybe check back with your heart moving back to your thighs and check your hands before you come crashing down to the ground. Think, oh, okay, I made it. I'm strong on both arms and legs. And then down you go. Yep. Back to maybe your child's pose or just sitting back to your heels. Shake your wrists, wiggle your fingers. Place your hands down, shoulders soft. Take 3 deep breaths in and out. Now facing here, you're just going to breathe in, exhale out. And when you're ready again, right, good deep breath, letting go. Excellent. Now, hands come forwards. Take your knees wide, hands on the floor, and press yourself back and walk your feet to a straddle position. Again, I can do straight legs and don't feel like you have to, because you're going to maybe strain your back if you know you just cannot get the hands on the floor. Better to have a lengthened back and bent knees than straight legs and a struggling straddle position, because that just feels sort of like, oh, I can't get there. So knees soft, arms out, straddle the feet. That means they're wide, slightly turned out, and keep your hips in line if possible with your heels, which is hard if you don't have a mirror, but maybe you do. So just get an idea of where they are, so they're not here like down dog, and they're not back, way back. There. Hopefully over the heels, and just your arms are coming out. Just like a half downward dog and straddle. Stretch, stretch, stretch. Yep. And I'm just going to bend my knees as I rock side to side into the side lunge. Feels good. Maybe on the inner thigh. Some of you may turn your feet out a little wider. Okay, then I'm going to come back more to the center. I'm going to turn the hands through and go down through the legs. Tuck the head in. Again, maybe knees are softer. Walk through. And then if I have bent my knees, at some point I like to try and straighten them. I can go all the way there. Press the hands into the floor and see, could you pull your elbows back and sort of make a tripod with your arms? So the elbow is over the wrist. Look through, so I'm looking all the way back. If you've got a wall behind you, look at the wall behind. And if you're able to continue to look up to the ceiling without falling, by all means, tuck your chin in and look up. I see the sun. Nice and bright today, very warm. And then forwards again, back with your hands. And then we're going to roll up. So bring your feet a little bit closer. So if you can roll up, fine, or if you come flat back, fine. But if you need a little more help, place your hands above your knees, let your bottom come through, tuck your belly in, and begin to carefully roll up and take those shoulders back and carefully bring yourself to standing. Walk your feet back in. So never rush up. Just do what's right for you. Flat back if needed, arms side, arms in front will add more weight, and hands to thighs rather than knees if you're rolling up. And let's find mountain pose. So on our feet, we're going to spread the toes. Try and get your feet parallel, about hip height. I'm going to go back a little bit here because you won't see me. So I am on a slight slope. Hopefully I won't fall into the lake. And just bring your hands together at your heart and shoulders soft. And whatever it is you feel right now, just observe. Are you feeling that you stretched your legs a lot? Are you feeling that your back was a little tight? Or that you had a really good sensation as you went to that down dog pose? Or maybe it was hard work. Just observe. Don't judge. Observe. Close your eyes and smile. So it doesn't have to be something that is can be a big giant smile if you like. Nobody's probably looking. You guys are just looking at me if you're peeking with your eyes open. And feel a sense of joy in your heart, and almost feel like you were holding that joy between your hands. It's really strong. Now we will open the eyes. And then the hands are going to come up past your mouth, your nose, up past your forehead, up above your head, and open the arms wider. And can you look between your hands? And lift up through the torso and stretch. And like we did earlier, just feel like you were climbing a rope. Side stretch. Arms up and then down. Take your feet out. One foot is turned out. These toes turned in a little bit. Okay. So maybe your heels are just a little bit wider than your elbows. And we're going to do a triangle pose. As we do the triangle pose, take your arms out. This is great for strengthening legs, keeping flexibility in the back. You're going to try to keep your arms level as you try and reach out to the side there, this leg here. And then this hip has to turn in a little, okay? And then your palms are facing forwards, and you're going to take your arm down to your leg and the other arm up above your shoulder. So you have this nice straight line, and gaze if you can without losing your balance to the hand up in the air. Now some of you are going to be able to come down lower. What we don't want is to come down so low that our chest drops way forwards. We want to feel like we could lean against a wall and still do this. Blocks sometimes come in handy for those of you that need. And then you want to feel like you're really opening out that space between the shoulder blades. Now if you lose your balance, just look forwards. And have some people that just like to gaze towards the foot. And you can explain that. Trikonasana, triangle pose. See if you can come a little lower. As you get better at this, you want to try and stretch out here and try not to press the ribs up. You want to drop the top ribs down as you begin to get closer to the floor. Great. Now we'll think about coming back up. So we'll inhale up. So you're going to push down into your feet. Keep the arms that width apart. Come back to where you started and then lower the arms. And you can turn your toes forward for a moment. Just circle the shoulders and move them up and down, forwards and back, and the other way, back and forwards. Shrug them up and down. Shake the arms out. Move those hips. Circles. Remember, don't do anything that feels like you're just throwing something out of place. So always be mindful. I'm not doing a crazy dance class here, but it's nice to just sort of move and feel some freedom in the body. Triangle pose the other way. So these toes are going to turn in a little. This foot's turning out. You know, we'll all be slightly different widths with the feet. But I was always taught to line this heel up on this side with either the arch of the back foot or the heel, rather than being just haphazardly anywhere. So that could be a nice line for you if you don't have a line on the floor to follow. Let your belly back to the front. Arms about shoulder height so you can look at them. If you don't have a mirror, just get a feel as you look. They look about even to me. And then this hip slightly rotates round to help get down to the side you're leaning into. Reach, 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 reach. Ooh, toss a little. That's palms forwards. And then take that arm down as the top arm obviously goes up. And then see, where can you go with this? So I'm just starting here, but I can sort of rotate my hip forwards a little more and begin to go lower down. And remember, I want to feel like I'm leaning back against that imaginary wall, or do it at a wall. Okay? Nothing to stop you. Just make sure your feet are slightly out, so that you're, because you know, we all have bottoms that get in the way. If we're too close to the wall, you're not going to be able to move. So you want to come slightly away from the wall. Do it at the wall. And those of you who can, stretch that top arm, lengthen this lower side, drop those top ribs. Now you may not be able to do every single direction I give, that's fine. Try not to hang your head, that's always a big no. Keep that head up. Can you gaze up? Whew, gazing right in the sun. I'm going to close my eyes for a moment. Breathe. Remember, smile. Feel happy, joyous. Don't feel like, oh gosh, I don't want to do this. Feel like, yes, I can do this. Even if you modify, this could be great. This could even be great. And then we'll come up with an inhalation wherever you were. Inhale. Exhale, arms down. Toes coming in so you're at a more comfortable width apart. Just soften those knees and just feel very grounded. Oh, shake up those hands. Shake those hips. Again, not too vigorous. Move your head. Chin down to your throat. Belly slightly in. Don't let it just stick out. And head coming up as you roll your shoulders back. And let's just do some movements of the head side to side. Down and carefully up. About 3 times probably. Turn your head. Did we just do turning? I think we did. Let's tilt. Tilt your head. Feels good on the side of my neck. Alright, now feet maybe a little wider again in a good second position. Bend those knees like a grounded down. And then inhale. Now I'm stretching the leg. Exhale, look down, just let the arms swing. Inhale. Feel very strong here. Let it go. Let go of anything you want to. One more. Inhale. And let it go. And then toes point forwards. Knees soft. Either hands on the hips. Side. Those of you that have no problems with your back, you're going to keep them here maybe as we begin to fold forwards, trying to keep our backs flat. So if you can go straight-legged and you're able to do this, you go ahead. Those of you that have some tightness, knees bend, hands on hips, maybe you get to about here and you think, oh, I can actually bring my arms out. And then maybe with that movement you could go to here. Take your hands down to the floor, do what you need to with your knees, and look between your legs. Shift your hips side to side. Stretch the legs one at a time as you bend side to side. Good. And then we're going to come down with our knees to the floor. feet might be tight. The knees may have injuries. The thighs may be tight. Whatever it is, maybe you don't have any tightness. So again, be prepared with your blocks, with your blankets. Pop something up under those heels is really helpful so that you can do some part of the pose. Rest your hands to your knees. And if you just can't get to this position, sit on your bottom, sit on a chair. And again, take a moment to gaze out at that gorgeous lake behind me. Placing your hands to your knees, smiling to yourself. Feel strong, feel really happy that you made it through another yoga practice, and just feel strong, positive, and ready for whatever the rest of your day may hold. Shoulders back and down. We're going to close the eyes and take just about 1 minute to listen to all that's around us. Maybe it's the sounds you hear around me, maybe it's the sounds you hear around you, and relax. Just settle in to your own space. You may notice to begin with the chatter of the mind. You want to observe without passing judgment. And then take your mind to any sounds you may hear. Even sounds that you didn't realize were there. And breathe. Face relaxed. Shoulders soft. Belly soft. Thighs relaxed. Let go. Just about 20 seconds. Very gently begin to bring your attention back to yourself on your mat or your chair, wherever you are. Do you feel your feet against the ground? Do you feel your shins against the earth? Gently move your shoulders, your fingers and arms, and bring your palms together and place your thumbs towards your sternum and heart, and gently bow your head to the tips of the fingers. Thank yourself for this wonderful practice that you gave yourself. Wherever it went with you, whatever you felt, be grateful that you continued and worked your way through to the end. Have a wonderful rest of your day. Namaste.